Hi, welcome to The Point with yours truly, Greg Lassiter. This is my first show of the new year, and I have an incredible, an amazing guest. This young man has done so much, and he's from my hometown, the DMV area. Welcome, Deontay Steele. Deontay, welcome. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Great to be here.
Now, Deontay, man, I've known you since you were like this high, and you have become, to me, a superstar. Let's start by you playing sports in high school. Tell us a little bit about, take us to the sport aspect of it, where Deontay was, started out playing high school, and then went to college, and then went out for the pros.
Yeah.
Right. So let's start there and bring us forward.
Okay. So basically, I went to Potomac High School out in Virginia, obviously. I played for Coach Stutler at first, and I played for Coach Lilly. So I had a transition of coaches during the time that I was there in my sophomore to junior year. And it was great. I mean, everybody, when I was playing, they showed up, they enjoyed it, they spoke highly of how I played. However, obviously we wanted to go on to the next level. I had friends that were always around me. One of my guys moved on with me to Shepherd, which made it a little bit easier. Shepherd's a college I went to, and so it made it easier to play. The biggest thing that I liked in high school anyway was, again, you had a lot of your friends were close, right? When you went to college, you go into college, people are close, but it's not as close. You have offense, defense, different segments of how you play, and so the biggest thing about there, though, you find in college people who really attached to you to the point where you can grow with them for the rest of your life.
Right.
Right. And so you have some of those from high school, but a lot of them you pick up in college. And so it was great. It was a great experience, obviously. I ended up being an All-American. Ended up breaking a couple records in there. So it was a great time to be out there and enjoy myself. And then we went to I tried out for the pros, did a regional camp. Then I went into, had a Canadian tryout.
Right. Oh, wow. How did that go?
So I'm sitting at the Canadian tryout. Everything's going great.
Right.
We're in Pennsylvania, and so it starts to hail. And I go up to the coach. I say, "Hey, coach, when's practice going to start?" And it's next. It's hailing. Obviously, I'm thinking practice is about to end. He said, "Man, we do this in the hail. Doesn't matter where we're at."
Right.
And so. As much as I loved it and I loved football, they ended up shutting down that tryout probably like 5 minutes later.
Right.
And then I had an agent at the time, and so the Texans had asked for my release from my amateurism in college. I did one more tryout, and then after that I spoke with my agent, and then that's kind of when we started to do the business side of things.
Right. Right. So now your background is vast, because I remember interviewing you some years ago after you took up the pros. You are a music producer, rapper, and you won some contest. Like, guys, we both come from the DMV, and the hottest radio station down there was WKYS. Right. I think Donnie Simpson was on there. Was Donnie Simpson on the KYS? And somehow, tell me about that, because I know I interviewed you on my radio station, and you had gone to KYS and you did some things on there. I remember listening to you on KYS.
Yeah, so basically what ended up happening is KYS, they did it was like a contest going around basically saying like, we could put out our a single, or anything like that. And so we had this single at the time, it was called Black in America. And so we put it out, it won, and the crazy thing about that day is it actually won with one of my neighbors that I grew up with. She grew up in the same place that I did, and that night, we were able to go on the radio station together.
Really?
Right?
I remember that. Yeah, I do remember that vaguely. Yes,
yeah. And so, so that was huge again in the sense of music.
Right. Big. That was one of the biggest things in the DMV.
It was, it was big. And so, anyway, so after we did that, I mean, it really propelled a lot of momentum in the sense of doing the music side of things.
Now, let me ask you this. Back then, you were doing rap.
Yeah.
Has that changed?
I do a mix of everything now, right?
What is your favorite?
When
I say genre.
Yeah. Hip hop's probably my favorite.
Really?
Yeah, hip hop's probably my favorite.
Okay, what kind of when you rap, what is it? What inspires you? What music? What rap do you rap about? What do you hip hop about? What do you sing about? What do you produce?
Oh man.
What do you write about?
It depends on the state and the mentality, but I like to rap about everything. Obviously, you have your music that sends messages, and really touches on like the heartstrings and the mental aspects of things. So I have that. I'll do songs for even companies, but my biggest thing that I like about hip hop is the ability to tell stories, obviously, but the ability to be creative in the poem pieces. Right. And so, again, that's my biggest part of hip hop and what I like about it. Even when you go into R&B, is that.
You know what's funny is that your background, your family history. Like I went to high school with your father. I went to high school with your mother. Your father's an athlete and your mom's a poet. Right. So you got the best of both worlds. Now, Deontay, I followed you for a long time, and what drives Deontay Steele?
I think it's probably what you touched on, like my mom, my dad, my sister, just family in general, right? Knowing that there's certain standards that they've placed on me, on our family, and so as we're going through this journey that everybody calls life, the motivation comes from making sure you're upholding those standards, making sure you're doing things to the best of your ability, and there's other people outside of your family that you grow up in, that are dependent on me to make sure I'm doing the right things.
Now, once you're still doing the music, you're like me, we're doing a million other things. Your claim to fame, well, you have a lot of claim to fame, but now you have a huge fitness outfit, right? And with that fitness outfit, you also have a line of fashion.
Correct.
So let's start at the fitness. How did that come about?
Well, fitness came about again. And when you talk about the family and athletics, and I just want to make sure we touch back, because already. My dad definitely was athletic, but my mom, I get my speed from my mom.
Oh, yeah, your mom used to run track.
My mom ran track. And so when you look at the fitness aspects of things, there was actually a time I was talking about getting in the gym with my mom. And so that's really what brought it upon us upon me is that growing up, they made sure whether or not we were playing sports, we were going to be in shape. And so now, as the pandemic happened, we were actually fortunate enough to be able to get a gym, and then we were able to move where we were at in Manassas down to Fredericksburg, Virginia.
Wow.
Yeah, so that helped a lot because now we're in a scenario where there's a lot of clientele base, and we're blessed to be in an area where we can kind of get to know all those people.
Is that that's not considered Northern Virginia though, right?
We just got out of Northern Virginia. We're basically the 2 counties away.
Fredericksburg.
Yep, Stafford
County.
area.
Right. So let me ask you, when you started the gym, now part of being you're a trainer too, right?
Correct.
So tell me about that program. You have eat healthy, blah blah blah. How does that work out when you join your gym?
And so it depends. If you're talking about general population, now you're talking about people that aren't really in the sports side of things. They might have been in the past, but they're not currently. And so when you talk about that, it's going to be based upon whether we get your body fat, muscle mass, things of those natures. If we're trying to get your actual scope of how your body looks to change, it's going to go into the piece of how much you're eating, obviously, how much you're sleeping, which a lot of people don't understand. How much you're working out versus how much you're resting. We'll go over that. Now, if you're an athlete, that's a whole different beast, right? We're going to now talk about how fast are you. We're going to put you on lasers. Our equipment helps us separate us from a lot of other people.
State of the art?
Yeah.
So let me ask you something. Being that, I look at you as me on steroids, right? My little protege, if I may. But being a trainer and all the different aspects of business you run, do you still get the amount of sleep and eat right in order to sustain what you're doing?
Yeah, so I think, again, you talk about, you know how busy we are, right?
Yeah, right. You're busier than I am.
No, I don't know about that, but listen. So when we talk about sleep, right? Basically, I've broken down how I operate my day into like a four-part day.
Okay.
And so what I've realized is you don't need 8 hours of sleep straight.
Right.
But some people, they might need 8 hours of sleep in a day. I probably can operate about 3 to 6.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And so I just break my day apart in four different aspects. And so what I say is if I'm trying to get a full day or night of sleep, full 24 hours of sleep, right? Where I'm going to get 8 hours in that day, I'm probably going to sleep somewhere in between 2 to 3 per four, per increment.
Right.
Yeah, and so it helps.
What about eating right? I can't, I'm looking at you. You look like you're about 20. You know that, right?
Listen, thank you.
You have good genes, right?
I appreciate it.
You have good genes. But my thing is like, I see you and we talk. You're like me. We get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm retired and I still get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Because you hit me up the other day. Hey, Greg. I'm like, Damn, he's up.
Right.
Do you still eat right?
Yeah. Now I will say, I think one of the things that helped me be able to sustain the energy is the fact that I eat right. So I eat basically gluten-free.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I eat all organic.
Really?
Yeah. I drink about a gallon of water a day.
So we couldn't go to McDonald's, huh?
You can go, but I'm just not going to eat anything from there. But we can go. You know, I don't discriminate any restaurants. Right. We can go to McDonald's. I actually used to eat McDonald's all the time, man.
Right.
And so it's just as I get older and I realize what comes with getting older. Right. I also say, okay, the easiest thing to control for me was my food. Right. It's not that for everybody. Right. So like even coming up here, I brought an air fryer with us.
Really?
Yeah. So like
only you, Deontay.
Yeah. We got an air fryer. We brought an air fryer.
You're coming up here for an interview. I'm staying in the hotel. Let me bring my air fryer. That's good. That's awesome.
Well, that's the thing though. When people are traveling, they run into these issues where they can't. You can't cook like you're at home because you didn't bring what you have at home with you. When you bring that, like for us, when we bring an air fryer, when we bring, we brought a microwave. Well, we're gonna bring a microwave, but they have one.
Right.
But when you bring things and then you get here, well, we can just go to a Target, a Walmart, whatever, and try to get as close as we can get to what we eat at home.
Right. So the other day, I'm always looking, I'm always following you. Your line of shoes.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that for a minute. Then we'll go into the whole fashion thing.
Okay.
What inspired you to do this amazing line of shoes?
Again, so the real inspiration honestly came from probably came from Michael Jordan. Okay. Honestly, yeah. When you look at the way that just shoes are integrated into sports, and the way that we train, and a large part of our public audience is athletes, and so in Virginia, they allowed us to get into the point where we can now start to bring our athletes in, and they can be compensated for their name.
That's right.
Deals. And so that was the big motivation to why we wanted to have the shoes come into the park.
Right.
Now I've been doing shoes for about 3 to 4 years, right? And so once we had the opportunity, it was just we actually ended up switching our entire line within a night.
Really?
Yeah, we took down all of our shoes. I redid every shoe that we had in a whole different place because they came out with different shoes for us to make.
Right.
We put that up, and then we made a PowerPoint and sent it out to everybody, and that's how we kind of got started.
So your shoes are made in Italy too, right?
Made in Italy. Yeah, made in Italy.
So how many different designs do you have?
We currently right now have out to the public 35, but we have 72. So 72 actually created, and then the company that I work with over in Italy, they're making me a brand page currently because of how many shoes we've sold.
How come I don't have a pair?
You're going to get one. You're going to get one. You're going to get one quick. You're going to get one soon. Yeah. But yeah, we were blessed, and there's people that have helped me in the sense of our athletes get to this point, right? And so it was huge. One of the biggest people was Mark. His family helped us a lot when it came to being able to just get the shoes in the sense of trajectory to where they are now. They helped him from the beginning.
Well, see, you know what I love about this guy? I always call him a kid because he always will be a kid. He's a grown man, but I call him a kid. You're so modest. I think you get that from your mom because, she's very modest. Your dad's very modest. Now, you were Sports Illustrated.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. I mean, the Sports Illustrated thing, it blew my mind. I was like, when I watch you grow up, not to cut you off, but watch you grow up, and you went from, I'm like, this kid goes from A to Z like me in no time. Yeah. And like you made Sports Illustrated. That's a big deal.
Right. Well, so that whole thing again, and I guess it's all encompassing, right? So the modesty comes from my parents, obviously.
Right.
But I always tell people, I'm like, behind the modesty is a sense of arrogance, right?
Right. Of course. Yeah.
And so the one thing that my parents always told me was, you can be arrogant. You don't have to tell people that you're arrogant. They'll see when you play. Right. But you can be arrogant. However, make sure your arrogance is fact. Yeah. There's fact behind it, right? And so when you look at the Sports Illustrated, it's crazy. That play actually happened, or that whole season happened. Basically, I broke a record in NCAA. Right. But we were in a game where we've never beat this team before. And as we were playing, we were down 31 points at this point.
Oh, I remember watching some video from
that. Yeah, we were down 31, man. And so they kicked the ball, and the guy shanks. I was a punt returner.
Right.
And he shanks the punt into the middle of the field.
Right. And that's when you picked it up and...
Well, he could right to me. This is the easiest return I've ever had in my life. And so he kicks it right to me. Obviously I scored, but the thing that I remember about this time is there was a guy named John Schwartz.
Right.
And he was going off the field. One of my really good friends going off the field. He said, "Hey, do you think you're going to break the record?" And I said, "I feel it right now."
Right.
And he came back in. He subbed the guy out, comes back in, and he was in for that play. But it really happened because I had some coaches that really believed in me. I had players, and we all were able to make things happen in a sense of in a career what I was able to do.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's a big moment.
Yeah,
and you did it at such a young age. You're young. I don't want to tell you how old are you. I don't even
I'm
know.
35. Yeah,
So
I just
young.
turned 35.
Oh, come on, man.
Yep.
So now, Deontay has this. Tell us about the line of clothing you have and the fashion show that's going to happen in April in New York.
Yeah. So branching off the shoes, right? So we did the shoes. As we move forward and as we're going on now, we had an ability to create the clothing line based around the shoe, right? So each shoe grew into its own clothing line basically for that shoe. And so what we were able to do then is with our NIL deals, bring kids in, and so they had their own version of a store, which gave us a version of a mall.
Right.
And so
damn, that's pretty vertical integration, man.
Exactly. And so we figured, why not do it with kids that deserve it in the sense of effort and what they've been putting in, and they understand and want to be a part of marketing and the clothes and everything like that. And so what that led into, obviously, was being able to start the fashion aspects of what we do, but get the fashion show in April, which hopefully we can land in New York, which is
absolutely.
a big thing.
We're playing that. Right.
It's huge. And so
and Italy.
And Italy, right.
Right.
So it's opened up a lot of doors, and the way I look forward to do is to continue to open up those doors. And fashion, as you know, is integrated into sports, into music, into everything. And so
now, what inspires you? What drives you?
Again, family for sure. Before family is obviously my faith.
Right. Of course.
And honestly, I think what a lot of people won't talk about because they don't ever want to come from the selfish place, right? And it's just internally, it's wanting to be the best in anything I do. And so it doesn't matter if I'm doing music. It doesn't matter if it's sports. It doesn't matter if we're doing a writing competition. I'm going to give my everything I can to it. And so I think, again, it's what your family instills from you from youth. And then it's the communities that you bring and keep around you.
You know, what's funny is that, you come, athlete. I mean, I didn't come from an athlete. I had to try. I had to try. Like your dad, his dad and I went to school together.
Yeah.
And he was All-American in basketball. I'm taller than your dad, and he's still faster. I'll never get. And your mom could run track. You know, I mean, so it was an innate ability of you to,
Yeah. I mean, like I got that. I honestly, I got to speak honest in the sense of when you talk about my dad and my mom. I think I got more of the quickness from my dad, and more of that straight line speed from my mom. So I ran a 4.2. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It came from my mom. I didn't have to do much for it.
I could run a 4.2 when I was 20.
Listen, that's what I'm saying. So my mom was fast. Everybody knows my mom was
your
fast.
mom's she had long legs. Yeah, I know.
No, but I couldn't beat my mom in a race. I was the fastest. I was the fastest kid, and I can beat her now. I was the fastest kid, you know what I mean, in high school or in middle school.
You know she's watching this, right?
Yeah, listen, she knows. We had the story. I couldn't beat her until I was in the 8th grade.
Really?
She wouldn't give me no slack either. She'd beat me and tell me she beat me.
And talk trash to you, right?
Yeah, the whole time. And so, same with my dad. He beat me in basketball. It wasn't until I was in 10th grade I could beat him.
Right.
And so, I think that competition, obviously we kept it from a loving space.
Right, sure, absolutely.
But I wasn't allowed to slip.
Right,
you know what I mean? If I wasn't playing like I was supposed to, I was going to get for both of them.
Oh, absolutely.
And my mom was probably going to be worse than my dad.
Right, absolutely. Yep.
So I think, and my sister was actually worse than all of them.
Oh, yeah, that's right, that's right.
She wasn't mean or anything like that, but it was just so honest with what she would say.
Right.
And so you really, when you have people that not just depend on you, but expect from you, you perform.
Right, and you know what? And that's what we as a community of the world needs more of family.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're lacking in the community is family. And you were fortunate, to not only, become, both your parents are successful, and that you stayed on the right track.
Yeah. So again, I have to put that on my parents. You know what I mean? Because where I grew up, obviously I grew up in Virginia, right? It's not New York. It's not no city like that.
Because that was hard.
Yeah.
It's hard because we both from DMV, and it was harder when I was there than when you were coming up.
Yeah. See, I grew up in a place called Georgetown Village.
Right.
So in there, a lot of people that I hung out with, they didn't have what I had at home.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so at the end of the day, my parents understood, number one, keep a kid busy.
Right. Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Keep a kid busy, keep them positive.
Right.
Number two, I will say that they never cut me down. They never said, like, it was, if I said, hey, I want to do this, it was never you can't.
Right.
It was, do you understand how to do it?
Right.
What are the steps?
Right.
Are you going to work hard enough?
Right.
And I think, like you said, community-wise, the people, when they saw me working so hard for things, which again was instilled from my parents,
Right.
they believed in it so much, they weren't going to let me go do something stupid.
Right.
You know what I mean? I had
right.
some friends, sometimes I say, man, you can't be with us. You can't be with us. We're going to go over here. You can't come.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
that can save any kid
Right,
at that moment.
right.
That means they knew they were going to do something stupid.
Right.
And they acknowledged to me to make sure I was safe. So I had a good community.
Well, what were some of the obstacles that you had to contend with getting to where you are and living in the DMV?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me the obstacles, I can't even say it today, obstacles that you had to endure on that. What are some of the things that stand out in your mind that you had to deal with as a person and as a black man?
Yeah. Oh, shoot. Okay. So I'm going to start with the as a person first,
Okay.
and then we're going to get into that next one. So as a person, I just think you have to deal with that everyday peer pressure of almost don't be successful.
Right.
Right. Hang out with me. Go here, eat this when you're not supposed to.
Right.
Go here, do this when you're not supposed to. I think that those are huge, but if you're looking from a kid's aspect, but then you go to college, and I think if you go down to the black aspect in the community in the sense of how we're building, sometimes we don't learn what we think we're learning at a younger age and what other cultures might have been learning at a younger age. And so I think one of the hardest things to figure out as a black man is when you get out of school, it's a whole different world.
Yeah,
you know, you're
totally
not, especially as an athlete. So I tell people all the time, I say, as an athlete, sometimes we get projected higher because of athletics.
Right.
And if you're not careful, you don't have anything to fall back on. Luckily, my family made sure I was doing other things other than sports. But I think one of the biggest things was trying to go from an athlete to being successful in a business. Right. There are principles that you will take from athletics, but one of the things that people don't understand is though athletics teaches you teamwork, it teaches you such ruthless competition sometimes that you might cross out people that are really trying to support you. After you get out of sports. And so there's a thing of learning.
A learning curve, actually.
You got to learn the curve, but you also got to learn a certain level of professionalism. Right. There's certain things I can't do that other people might be able to do, and it could be because I'm black, and I have to understand. You know, and so I think ego, learning to overcome, not make decisions with my ego. Learning those things. Yeah, you know, because sometimes you get emotional and you make that decision. And you might be able to come back from it, but you might not. And so
that's good.
That was big.
Now, you know what? The principles that you live by, especially in the world that we live in, and dealing with racial issues. You know? And, you know, when I lived in the DMV, we had a bit of a issue because I went to T.C. Williams when it was segregated. As you came up, and now that you live, and I consider the South, have you ran into any personal racial issues? And you I hate to say that articulate, but you're a professional, and that you live by the golden rule. Have you run into any obstacles in that sense? Yeah,
I mean, yes. And so even when you look at like you look at how we're dressed now, and we know how to clean up. Right.
Absolutely.
But we also have different levels of our fashion. And so, there could be a time I have a cap on or a hat on or anything, and somebody might not see the suit and tie version of me. And so there was a scenario where actually I got pulled out of Ford Mustang.
I remember that.
So
I forgot about that.
And so I think this is in 2014.
Yep.
So I got pulled out of a Ford Mustang because I made an illegal U-turn that was legal. Right. They just needed a reason, and so I was pulled out of there. And again,
this was in Virginia.
This is in West Virginia.
Oh Lord.
This was in West Virginia. Yep. This was in West Virginia. But so to think about it, this is. I'm thinking I'm safer in West Virginia, I think, because that's the school. I'm right by my school.
Right.
And so I'm thinking everybody knows me and everybody's, they understand who I am. Again, that's that bravado of the ego.
No, it's because they know you. Yeah.
Right, I'm thinking that they know me.
Outstanding citizen.
I've done well, and so they pull me out the car. They, they don't have any cars. They put me in handcuffs.
No.
They take me down to a station. My mom comes up.
But wait. What was the purpose?
They didn't have one. And so I'll listen. Okay. They didn't have any purpose. So they before we get to the station, they take me to an alley, kicking the whole thing that you could think of, all that stuff. And so this is amongst.
Hold on a second.
Yo,
wait. They took you into the alley.
Yeah, kicking on me, beating on me, all that, and then they switched cars. They put me in a whole different car. And so then they take me to the station. The mayor of the town.
Right.
He comes to get me because he understood. Right. He came down there to get me. At that point, my mom had already came. Mm-hmm. We got our lawyer. My lawyer didn't believe me. Obviously, again, you got the black guy saying he knows the mayor of the town. Right. He didn't believe me. The mayor, while I'm in face to face with the lawyer, leaves me a message. Says, "Hey, I came down to get you. You weren't there. I'm going to fix everything that happened in my town. I'm sorry it happened to you. What happened is they mistaken me for a guy that was." The town over. Same first name, no, not the same last name, just got out of jail.
But they didn't check it.
They didn't check any of it. And so, but long story short, right, that's to say it doesn't matter how good you are in anything. The racial aspect still exists. I even have a poem that's called Black Man Problems. And that addresses how, for the same reasons, people will fear and think I'm, and praise me.
Threat.
Well, but they'll praise me too. So you'll praise me for being strong on the court.
Right.
If I'm playing basketball. You'll look down on me in the court if I'm in the court of law, and so, but all of it's just because I'm black,
right? Of course,
right? Nobody knows anything about you, and so what I've been taught by my mom, you know, my dad definitely agreed with the teaching, but my mom was really on us about making sure anytime you step out, look how you how you want to be presented,
right.
Don't just dress because who's going to think about me? What do I care about people's thoughts? So.
But isn't that, you know, because I'm the same way. I'm 62 years old. I live in New York City. It's hard for me to catch a cab.
Right.
I got to think about what I'm going to wear to catch a cab if I'm catching a cab. Now, being the young professional you are, when that happened to you, how did you deal? You were angry. How did you not let that affect you? Because, you know, we got that stereotype of, oh, he's an angry black man.
Yeah.
And you're not anything like that. How did you, tell me about that.
Role playing. So my parents role played with us when we were young. And they would put us in the scenarios, and there was times where we would lash out or things like that, and they would say, well, you can't. Right. And we'd be like, why? Well, how come? Well, we did like,
of course.
In the black family, we have those meetings, right? So we're sitting in those meetings, and we're like, well, how come we can't act out? Or, if we're mad, how come we can't do this?
Right.
So because your job is to get home.
Right.
At the end of the day, your job's to get home. And so my mom was so mad, she actually came up there and was like, let's go. I want to do everything, and I want to bring the news. And that's why I said, Mom, remember, you the one told me, let's just get home.
Right.
Let's just get home. Like, once we get home, we can deal with everything. And so even in that moment, when they put me in handcuffs, across from me, right, it's all of my people are right there. And I'm like, he didn't do anything.
Right.
And I'm just telling them to calm down.
Right.
Telling everybody, calm down. Like, there's nothing we can do in that moment. Like, you want to have the power, but you don't. You can come back and deal with it, but make sure you can come back.
Right. Now, my question, does it ever make you tired? How does that make you feel? Like, I'm not trying to be a therapist, but no. Because I'm a lot older than you. I'm old enough to be your dad.
Right.
So I'm a different way. But now that you're a different, you don't get, dealing with anger, that angered you, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, but like you said, we grow and we get to certain spaces where you can be angry and not make decisions based on it.
Right.
And so does it make me mad? Yeah. Does it make me mad now even when I see it? Of course. I'm in the school system. So I see it from police officers, from teachers, from principals. You see it down the line.
Right, sure.
But I also get into a scenario where I say, it doesn't matter how angry I get, how are we going to fix it?
Right, let's fix it.
How are we going to fix it? And I think one of the biggest ways to fix it is to start teaching these kids that there's another option, there's another way. And so, again, I did not know the language of business. Or any of that back then. And so being angry when you don't have anything to lose is scary.
It's scary, very scary.
Being angry when you have things to lose makes you calm.
Right.
You know what I mean? Oh, yeah. You calm down even though you're upset. And so I think that has a lot to do with it, is that.
So where does Dante go from here? What is the long-term goal for Dante? Deontay, I'm sorry.
It's all good. Yeah, right. So the long-term goal, I think, and it's kind of, it's weird, but it's away from probably most people's goal, and it's to get to a scenario where, if we're talking about from an internal scenario, to get to a point where you can live completely at peace, right? Where I'm doing everything that I want to do, and it's successful enough to allow the stresses to be away. Now, until we get to that point, right, the goal is to progress as quickly but as efficiently as possible.
Right.
You know.
So, there's a lot of young black men or young men
Right.
that are trying to do and get where you are. What kind of advice you can give them?
Get off the couch. There's a lot of people I think trying to they say I want to do this and I want to do that.
Right.
But then you go and you ask them, hey, well, what are your ratios or your hours of putting in that work to get that job done versus playing on your phone?
Right.
Playing the game.
Right.
Watching the YouTube. Right. And so I started to even my life. I had to look at my own life, and I had to say, all right, listen, we're at a scenario where you can either be the person that's consuming all of this stuff,
right,
or you can be the person getting paid off the consumption. You know what I mean? And that's just how it's going to be. And,
right.
and you could be a great person on either side of the
right,
slope.
absolutely,
Right.
Absolutely.
And so me, my friend group, my business group, we've all chose that side where
right.
we're going to get compensation
right.
from what other people would rather consume.
Right.
That means we're going to sleep a little less than they do, though.
Right. Let me ask you: do you think your generation has become more lax?
I don't know if lax is the term. So we have this conversation all the time, and I say I think the older generation was the physical work.
Right.
I think the younger generation looks at the older generation, and not everybody, right? If I look at you, I'm not going to see a completely different picture.
Right. Sure.
But when I look at a lot of the older generation, what you see is people that are upset that they followed the way that they followed and they are where they are.
Right.
So the younger generation doesn't want to do it that way.
Right. They do it. We worked hard.
You work hard. You work hard. Right.
Yeah.
And so now I think the younger generation is trying to figure out, we admire the work ethic.
Right.
We don't admire the result.
Right. How do I get the result without having to do that? Right.
And so what they're figuring out is like, there's these jobs and these things that you can do virtually, and they get to them so quick.
Right.
But with that though, they don't know how to decipher that timeline of when do I work and when do I rest.
Right.
And I think that's the thing that's hurting them. And
balance.
Right. And they don't have that bridge of communication.
Right.
Where now you go my generation.
Right.
Right. So you have the generation above me.
Right.
The generation below me.
Right.
We aren't good communicators, I don't think, in my generation.
Right.
So we're not bringing the line that we needed to bring down to the younger population.
Awesome. That is awesome. That is awesome. Right.
They got the work ethic.
Right.
They don't
have the
they don't understand.
skills.
Right. And so you see a lot of emotional youth who can't speak for themselves.
Right. And that's, you know what, and I look at that from my generation. We tried to set the pace for your generation. And some of it, I mean, I wish everybody turned out like you. You and your sister. My daughter's dead, because we came from the same kind of background. But a lot of it, I think, was lost. And most, would you say most or half?
I would say probably half, maybe half. So I don't even think lost. I think there was a deliberate intent.
Right.
Right.
That's good.
And I think so. What happened in my generation is we took some of the teachings and then we tarnished some of the teachings that we didn't like.
Right.
Even if they'd worked.
Right.
We didn't want to pass certain things that we needed to pass down.
Right.
And so now, somebody older than me, you can't pass it to the younger group.
Right.
It's only me.
Right.
And so as people in my generation, as we say, hey, we don't want to use this and we want to use that. Now you have the frustrated older generation.
Right.
And the ignorant younger generation.
Right.
Right. So we have all the knowledge, and we're blaming them for failing, but we haven't given them the tools.
Right.
Right.
That's good. That's good.
So yeah. So I don't think that I don't think that it's lost. I think it was deliberately not given.
So how do we come back from that?
From not passing that information.
Can you the generation that was deliberately didn't get the tools? Is there a way to recover?
There is, but when you look at that way to recover, what you're going to be asking is for the men and women of my generation, and maybe a little bit underneath us, okay, to become teachers and to become educators.
Right.
You don't have to be actually in a classroom.
Right.
I do think that we're coming to a point where now a lot of that desk work and a lot of sitting down behind, it's starting to fade away.
Right.
And where I have the understanding, and people in our generation have the understanding of what was before the 90s or what was before the 2000s.
Right.
But we also have a good practice of what came after.
Right.
We don't teach what happened before the 90s, though.
Right. No.
You know what I'm saying?
That was
the part.
pre me, because I'm in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Right. Yeah, we don't teach that part.
Right.
And so if when we learned it, if we don't teach it quick, however, they will never learn it.
Yep.
And then it's not their generation,
Right.
it's that generation underneath them.
Tell us. I got a few more minutes left. Okay. Tell us how we can get a hold of you.
Okay, so obviously, you can contact me on all the social medias. The best one to contact me, Deontay Steele. The best one to contact me though is on Instagram.
Right.
And that's Coach Steele, THATS, Coach COACH, and then Steele STEELE. To make sure everybody understands that. But Deontay Steele on all the other platforms.
Man. This was amazing. You were amazing. Keep doing what you're doing, man. I love that. And guys, okay. Oh, we still got, my director said we still got a few minutes.
Okay, all right, I'm cool with it. I'm good with it.
So after New York, we got about 9 minutes, right? 10, 20, 29 minutes? Oh, God, okay. 20 minutes. 2-0, wow. Well, man, I'm looking at the clock here, but okay. So after New York,
Yep.
The New York Fashion Show is going to be in April.
Okay.
And the New York Fashion Show is going to consist of everything that you produced. Now, it's going to be a runway, just like runway show.
Right.
Now, with that, where do you go? How do you see? Obviously you're going to do New York.
Right.
You're going to do Italy.
Correct.
What do you intend to get out of that? What is it that you want to get out of that?
Out of doing the shows?
Yeah, doing your fashion. Where do you see it going?
I want to see everybody in our clothes. I want to see everybody in our shoes. I mean, I think it's everybody's. I think it's anybody's end goal, right?
Right.
But I want to see the impact, right? I want to see our kids earn from being able to be a part of what we're doing. But from an arrogant standpoint or from a confident standpoint,
Just
really,
confident.
From a confident standpoint, really, I see us being able to compete with the best brands out there.
Right. So that means from a big manufacturing standpoint, right? So the shoes. What else do you have in the line?
Oh man, we have shoes, we have bags, we have belts, we have shirts, we have sweats, we have if we're talking about on the female side, we have crop tops, we have crop top hoodies.
Wow.
Yeah.
You design all this?
We design all of it. We have leggings, we have socks, obviously. Again, anything that you can think of, we're creating on the fashion side of it. We have hats, obviously, hoodies, shoes, sandals.
Really?
Yeah. The things that the kids wear now is Crocs.
Right, Crocs.
So we made sure we got into the Crocs.
You have Crocs too?
Yeah, we made sure we got into the Crocs.
Do you wear them? I can see. I can imagine you in Crocs.
No, I wear Crocs, man.
No,
I wear Crocs. Listen. I was against it. I was against it until December.
Right.
December. One of the kids said, we need Crocs. And I said, all right, we'll try to make them. I made them, and they came in. Obviously, I'm going to wear them.
Right, sure.
But, I come from the generation of like the slides.
Right,
The
of
kids
course,
call them slides now. We call them flip-flops back then.
Right.
But I came from the generation of the slides. And I was like, I'm not wearing these Crocs.
I still haven't.
I'm not doing it.
I heard they're comfortable.
Listen to me. The biggest thing is you don't trip. So in flip-flops, you'd always trip, right? Trip over the front. And so they cover up the front. And now they make it even to where you can cover up the back. So, I mean...
are they comfortable?
They're comfortable. They are really comfortable. Super easy to put in.
Right.
So for those people that are, you could never wear them because you're walking all the time, man. You're moving so fast.
Hey, he still isn't used to New York yet.
Yeah, no. I don't think. And actually, I haven't seen. I don't know if I saw anybody in New York in Crocs.
No. Well, I see. Not walking.
Not walking. That's what I'm saying. Not moving. They might wear them in the house. Right. I don't see them outside. And so they're not. I wouldn't walk in them so much. But in Virginia, we're not moving as fast. So you'll see a lot of kids that wear them to the schools.
Right.
They'll probably wear them even to their games if they're playing. But I think as you get older, if you're busy, you're not gonna put them on your feet.
No, right? Because I'm always.
Yeah. If you're in the house.
I pondered on getting some Crocs.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah.
You don't need them. You might not. The only reason you will ever need Crocs, man, is because if you're in a mansion. Hard floor, you might want to put the Crocs over slippers.
Right. That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a thought. So you're gonna go into a whole big manufacturing.
That's the goal. I mean, again, that's the goal. Well, so let me take a step back. So I want to do so even when we went in and how we got to this point where we did a pretty big shipment for them in the beginning, back in December for the company I work for, and they were able to get that out with a decent return. obviously big manufacturing is what we want at the end. But even when you say that, it's understanding how to cut costs, right?
Right.
What we learned is a lot of people, the reason their costs are up is because they have a physical store, number one, and they have to hold those items.
Right.
So as long as we can, I would try to keep it to the point where we don't have to hold those items.
Right.
And if we can do it that way, which I think we will be able to.
Right. With like with my stuff that I carry for Greg's Jet.
Yeah.
You buy it, and then we get it.
Right. Exactly.
So we don't have to hold any inventory, and that's the disadvantage by having a storefront.
Right.
You got overhead.
Right.
So if you can order all your things online.
Correct.
And you got to pay for it first.
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
so,
You got to pay for it before you even start making it. Yeah.
Right. Because your shoes that are made in Italy, because I got my shoes the same place you have gotten yours, same manufacturer, and it's a 4 to 6 week lag time, right?
Yeah.
So that means you're using their money to make money, and that's what but I always tell you that. Don't ever use other people's money to make money.
Yeah. And even then, they've been getting ours in. So I've been trying to talk to, I guess the guy over there is Lewis, I think.
Lewis, yeah, Lewis.
And so I've been trying to communicate with him as much as I can.
Right.
They're turning our stuff around in 21 days.
What?
Yeah.
Wait till we go over there and in the fall. You get to actually, when you do your fashion show, we're gonna actually go to the manufacturer.
Oh yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait for that.
That's
the thing too. Like when you think of a lot of what I look at now and where we sit. You sit more than me, right? Even where, you talked about the culture and black and how many people when we grow up really think they're going to even get to this point.
Right. I didn't, because I grew up a little different. I grew up on the west side of Alexandria.
Yep.
And that was not the good side.
Right.
And I always tried to, what you can only achieve what you can dream and believe.
Correct.
And I was a little different. I said, you know what? I'm going to be successful.
Yeah.
And a lot of the guys I grew up with weren't as successful.
No.
They're still there, actually.
Yeah.
And do you find that happening among your guys?
Man, listen. So coming out of high school,
right?
I turned down. So I went to Shepherd.
Right.
I turned down Shepherd. I said I didn't want to go to college.
Right.
I didn't want to go to college.
Until your mom said.
And people, right. And so people, they'll look and they'll think, oh, you're so successful. You never had these ideas that these unsuccessful people had. No, we had the same ideas. I was at high school. I said, school's not for me.
Right.
I don't want to go.
I
don't want to do another 4 years.
Right.
I want to stay here with my friends, people I went to school with who aren't going to school.
Right.
They're going to be okay.
Right.
I'm not saying they're going to be rich or not rich. I don't know, but they're good right now.
Right.
What ended up happening is at that time, again, this is the blessed of people, right? The girl that I was with at that time said, no, I want you to go to school.
Right.
I don't want you to stay home because you're either going to go to jail, you're going to get
in trouble. Right.
That's how she said it. You're going to go to jail, you're going to get killed. And I was like, I don't think so.
Right.
But okay. Right. So we actually called Shepherd back, and that's how I ended up going to Shepherd.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so.
You think that was a good decision?
It was a great decision.
Right.
It was a great. You can't. And I think too. I think adults sometimes try to give kids the reins too early.
Right.
I don't think I was able to make. And my parents did not do that, thankfully. But I don't think at 17, 18, even though we want to be.
Right. You didn't know.
Our brain's not even fully developed until, 26?
Right.
So to make a life-changing decision at 18 that you're probably not even qualified to make until 4 years later.
Right. And what's crazy about that, especially on your level, you were transitioning from college to pro. Mm-hmm. And most parents were like, oh, you're going to go pro? The first thing they're thinking is get the money.
Yeah.
And that not knowing that you're still immature.
Right.
Right. And that if you didn't, like you say, you don't, between the ages of 17 and 21, that's that very age where, that mental disorder kicks in. Mm-hmm. So when all the pressure that you're under, you're not qualified to make that decision. And I guess you're thankful that you had the people in your life to do that, make you go do that. You would thank me in the long run. Right.
Yeah. They direct. You got to think, if you don't have a director and you don't understand how to get to the end result, how do you get there? How do you get to Florida without direction?
Right.
You might be traveling to Maine and have no clue.
Right.
And so, like I said, it was a blessing just to make sure that everybody in my circle, they weren't just committed to me, they were committed to my destination.
Right.
And I think that's the biggest thing is number one, my mom always said, you got to have a dream, like you just said, right?
Right.
But you have to believe in it.
Right.
Then you have to pray for it.
Right.
Then you have to work for it.
Right.
And don't worry if it's going to show up, because it is.
Right.
If you believe in it, there should be no worry of if it's going to show up.
Right. That's right.
And so I think that was, again, those are the biggest things that I think kids need to understand, parents need to understand, and parents need to do a little bit more teaching to their children about
and that's what's
where
lost.
they're at.
That's what's lost now. Parents spending time with their kids. Like I grew up, my mom was a teacher, you know, so, you know, I went to TC, I went to all the schools in Alexandria. My mom was a substitute teacher, so you know, I never knew when she's gonna come, you know. And I know your mom is like, she's not having it. You go to school, you know, you're gonna do this, right?
Yeah.
But now in this generation, that seems to have been lost.
Because you got kids raising kids. And so, like, when you look at it, how you say we got to spend time with our kids, I'll even flip that. And I'll say we have to start. My parents, when I was growing up, they didn't spend time with me. They forced me to spend time with them.
Right.
I went and did what they wanted to do. Right. And so if they wanted to go to movies, we went to a movie. If they wanted to go eat, we went to eat. Now the parents are trying to do things with the kids where it's like the kids don't, they're kids. They don't even know what they're allowed to do. And so they don't want to do anything. So sometimes as a parent, you have to take them and broaden their horizons and say, hey, listen, today we're going to go look at a house. Today we're going to go look at cars. I'm going to teach you how to buy a car. I'm going to teach you how to buy a house. I'm going to teach you how to sell a house. Whatever the case, but start taking the kids with you to experience the world instead of you coming home to just experience your home.
Well, one thing too about when you were growing up, and you know, because your mom and I were the same generation, that we weren't your friend.
You weren't your friend? Man, she said that to me so many times. Man, I ain't
I'm
your
just
friend.
a friend.
I said
I said about doing it too. I'm not your friend.
Yeah.
You know, we're not gonna kick it like that.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah, we couldn't speak. We couldn't even breathe heavy. You know what I mean? Like, you have to make sure. So again, that's respect.
Right. That's
I think now, I even have heard parents now, especially my age, again, a little older, a little younger, will say, it's not my job to teach my kid manners.
That's crazy. I've heard it too.
Yeah.
I've heard it too. That's insane. We have grandmothers at 40.
Right. You know, and that's what happens when you don't teach kids manners. That's what happens when you don't teach kids respect. Like there's guys that won't open the door for a woman anymore.
What?
They have to. The woman has had to give them something or have done something for them to think that manners matter. And so again, the compassion for people, I think is lost. I think the confusion of our kids now in this generation is because they hear the stories of the older generation.
Right.
But then they hear the negative review of my generation,
right?
So they don't know what to believe.
So you teach a lot of kids. You got a lot of kids. Now, kids, like, your place is safe. You have to be a teacher and a counselor. How do you deal with that? Like, you can't save everybody.
Can't, no.
So what do you do? How do you do it?
I think it's be genuine. I think it's really have a care for the kids not being successful, but being protected. Not being coddled, right? But being experienced to a point where they can fend for themselves. I think a lot of people they feel better about themselves if this kid has to come to me every time they have a problem. For me, I feel better about myself if that kid no longer has to come to me. Because they have that problem and we've worked through it already.
Have you ever had any opposition when you're dealing with the kids from the parents of you trying to teach a kid the right way of doing something that they're not getting at home?
No. I'll say I've never experienced that, but again, it's because I start the relationship every way. And like, think about training, right? So training and stuff like that, like, I'll kick you out. You know what I'm saying? So I'll tell them in the beginning, like, hey, listen, we're not gonna have too many scenarios where we don't agree. You know what I mean? Because if we don't agree, we don't agree. And there's other people that will agree with what we're doing. But I've never had to run into that because I'm upfront with you from the beginning. So I'm going to tell you, hey,
what's your
listen,
expectations?
I'm not going to play with you. I'm going to tell you, hey,
don't waste my time.
This is how we're going to do it. Most people, they'll say this, I don't want to waste your time. Oh, no. We're not going to waste mine. You know what I'm saying? We're going to get your result. And we're not going to get it at the expense of wasting my time. And so, therefore, I'm never going to waste yours.
That's,
dude. Man, I am so
I'm telling you.
I am so proud of you, man.
Appreciate it.
Your mom talks about you all the time, right? Your mom talks about me every day. She said, look, your mom, what was it, yesterday when you got here, she's like, you need to call Deontay. I'm like, I got it. We've already
listen,
communicated.
Probably same time I'm talking, I'm like, I'm texting him now. Like, we are talking. We are good. But that's my
your best friend. That's your
that's
ace,
my
man. She's your number one fan.
Forget my number one fan. She's my number one person.
Yeah,
like she'll protect me, you know what I'm saying, hands down. She even evaluates like anybody that comes into my life.
Oh,
you know
absolutely.
What I'm saying? Like
she
she's
brought me
gonna
into your
check
life.
them.
She brought me into your life.
Yeah, but she's gonna make sure they're good. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Good people.
yeah.
And so, you know, when people think about a mom or a dad or anybody, like my mom, man, she's protected me. You know what I'm
she's
saying?
a rock,
and
man.
she's been a mom. Most people, whether their mom is here or not,
Right.
they lose their mom at 18.
Right.
They lose them at 18.
Right.
So I'm 35.
Right.
My mom is still momming.
Absolutely.
You understand? Like she's still doing mom things at 35.
Hey, look, it's funny. We were talking on the phone, and we're talking like blah blah blah. You go, my mommy. I'm like, still mommy. Right?
Yeah. No, I mean, don't get me wrong. I call her mom most of the time, but what I'm saying, she's mom mean.
Right.
And what I'm saying is there's times where she's still raising me at 35.
Right.
There's times
we're always learning.
But there's times when she steps in and helps me at 35 where I know there's other men that don't get that type of support from their family at all.
Hey, look, I didn't. And my mom's still living. And I thank God that I am who I am and successful.
Right.
But you have something that most don't have or won't have. But moreover and more importantly, you're giving back in your teaching. That says a lot. That says a lot.
And I never can take that. Like my sister probably is the one that does that the most, just in family. Like I learned all these from my family. My sister, man, she has so many nonprofits, but she gives back. So
yes, your sister's a teacher.
She's not just a teacher. She has Faith Mamas.
Right. She has a whole organization.
She has a whole organization in Faith Mamas, man. And she. You talk about preaching the gospel.
Right.
You talk about somebody like, and that's what I'm confident about is when you're good at it, you're good at it. It doesn't. Jordan was good at basketball.
Right.
Michael Jackson was good at singing.
Right.
My sister will preach that gospel.
Right.
And
she's great at that.
And it's her calling. Right. And so when anybody, when you're able to step into your calling and you do your calling with purpose.
Right.
Not people's like, I'm trying to find purpose. No.
No, right.
Your purpose was to be alive.
Right.
You know,
absolutely.
You change this world just by breathing.
Right.
But when you find purpose in your calling.
Right.
Not when you find your purpose. It's always there.
Yeah, because most people don't find their purpose.
Most people don't find their purpose.
What advice can you give to anybody? Because you've obviously found your purpose and your calling. And not only you're successful at it, but you love it.
Right.
And I tell people all the time, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life.
Yeah, I think again, I just reverse what you said. Instead of looking for my purpose, instead of looking for my calling, I looked at it and said, well, what is a calling, right? It's the thing that you can do the easiest that impacts people the most.
Right.
And so I said, well, it's weird, but most people, the reason you can't find your calling is because you're looking for your calling in somewhere where there's money.
Right.
And your
can't
calling,
chase the money.
Right. You can't chase the money. You find your calling. What is it you do the easiest?
Right.
That you get the most out of that impacts the people, and then you make that your purpose.
Right. And you know what? It's funny you say that because I remember you and I had a conversation. I said, always do what you like, do what you love, and the money will come.
And the money will get there.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
I got 3 more minutes. I know, right? 3 more minutes. I thought we've been talking forever.
I know.
But give us one more time, Deontay, how to get a hold of you.
Again, you can, if you're really trying to get in contact with me, you can contact me on Facebook, Deontay Lamar Steele. You can contact me on Instagram, that's Coach Steele. And those are going to be the primary places to get in contact with me. And then just on the fashion side of it, you can type in the eliteexperience.training. And that will take you straight to our fashion page. And
your price point on your shoes?
You'll be anywhere between $199 and I would say about $270.
That's it?
Yeah. Pretty easy to get, man.
Wait, hold on. And we get the same manufacturer? I got to go back to that manufacturer.
Yeah, from Italy, man.
But I'm paying a little more for my cost.
Listen, I don't know.
I need to get your deal. Okay, I got about 2 minutes. Hey, everybody. You've been watching To The Point with Greg Lassiter. This is the first show of 2024. I'm back. I'm still part of 30 Frames a Second. I don't know how often that I'm going to do this show because, I love TV. But my guest, it's nothing like starting your new year out with one of the most amazing individuals that I know personally. I watched him when he was like this, when he was like peeing on himself. Stop. Let me stop. No, but you, Deontay, I'm so proud of you.
Thank
You're
you.
amazing. You're amazing. And
we're going to come back. He'll be on the radio sometime in April to promote, on G Radio, New York City, to promote the fashion show.
Correct.
So, guys, thank you for watching To The Point with yours truly. We'll see you next time.
Hi, my name is Deontay Steele, co-owner of the Elite Experience. We train athletes all across the DMV area, and we've recently embarked on being able to provide our athletes with NIL deals. If you're interested, contact me at 540-216-6970.
Hi, I'm Greg Lassiter, host of To The Point with Greg Lassiter. You can find us on the Grex TV network.